Welcome back to Wisdom with the Wise Counselor podcast. I'm your host, The Wise Counselor, also known by my birth name, simply Lateef. This podcast is all about building your emotional resiliency, thinking about wellness and mental health, reclaiming your authority, and learning how to live your life on purpose, in purpose. I'm not talking about some of the times, I'm talking about 24/7, 365. I hope you know what I'm talking about. Listen, today's episode, I want to simply call it When Life Teaches You the Hard Way. 3 lessons that we can never forget. This podcast was inspired by a story that I saw. Let me give you the quick rundown. I saw a news story of a gentleman who was probably 45 now, but he was involved in a crime. He was a gentleman in the back seat of a car that went to go burglarize somebody. He was totally aloof about what the front passenger and the driver was doing. He was literally a passenger in a car, and these 2 guys went to go burglarize a place. Ultimately, somebody was injured, and then you know how the legal system does. He was caught, and he was unfortunately charged with being an accomplice. So he got 18 years behind bars for a crime that was committed in his presence, but he had no idea what was going on. And it made me think about a couple of different things, and it really did shake me to the soul. It reminded me how fast life can shift when we're not careful about who and what we let influence us. This young man was full of promise. They said that he had been offered a scholarship just a year before to go to school, and he was going to be a walk-on as an athletic player for a college football team. And again, he got caught up in a moment, not by his own hands, but by his association. So when you think about that, and what was shocking actually was that he was actually sentenced to, I believe it was 114 years of prison time for a crime that he literally did not commit. It was simply because he was at the wrong place at the wrong time and with the wrong people, and had no clue what schemes and plans these guys, these quote unquote friends, were doing. And it got me thinking about this. What does it mean to really be wise about your decisions? And what about your relationships? And what does it mean to be wise in how you live your life? So today I want to dig into 3 takeaways from that young man's story that hopefully will help everybody, not only emotionally, but spiritually, mentally, and even in this case, legally. Let me say this. The man is doing absolutely fine. He was an upstanding citizen. He literally got caught up in a moment that unfortunately changed the trajectory of his life. He ended up only serving 18 years of that 114-year prison sentence because he was a model inmate. He did a lot of community service, and he had good behavior. And so I think I love that part, because I want to celebrate that even though he had a major life setback, he stayed true to who he was. He worked the system, did what he had to do. And luckily the justice system showed some mercy and some grace. So the first lesson that I want to dive into about this young man's journey is that, number 1, I'll just call it, watch who you're with. That's the first lesson. Watch who you're with. I don't care if you're 13, 23, 53, or 93. We have to watch who we are surrounded with each and every day. You know, I'm reminded when our elders used to ask questions. I don't know about you, but my mom was kind of old school. She was very protective, and we laugh about it now, but my mom used to question, well, who are you hanging out with? Where are they from? Who's their mother? What I've come to find out later in life, and now that I've grown in my wisdom, is that life will absolutely charge you for proximity. You don't even have to be doing the dirt. Just being near a stain can tarnish your name, your reputation, your future, and your record. But this ain't just about a crime. This is something that I want us to think about. This is about your character. The people that you're surrounded with influence your character. Some folks won't rob a house, but they will rob you of your peace. Come on now. And if you're not careful, their drama becomes your distraction. I want to pause and I want you to ask yourself this. Who do I keep around out of habit and not alignment? Who drains me more than they empower me? And what circle am I forcing myself to fit into just so that I'm not alone? See, often when we start talking about people who are associated with a lot of crime, I don't even want to say crime. That's too heavy. When we find ourselves surrounded by community, it could be community of church, it could be a volunteer community, your co-workers, a crime or a gang. Yes, certainly that is a community. We often find ourselves connected to those groups and to that community for one reason and one reason only. It's because life is not meant to be lived alone, and there is this intrinsic yearning and desire to be associated to something bigger than yourself through people. We are people. People need people. We're human. So when you start thinking about community, whether it's a community that's rooted in good people or quote unquote bad people, the desire is the same. We want to feel seen. We want to feel loved. We want to feel connected. We want to flourish in our relationships. I don't care if you're 13 or 93. The sense of being a part of a group is going to fill your bucket. It's just, is that group the right group for you? And are they doing things that are in alignment with what is needed for you? And also, are they in alignment with doing things that are not illegal? But again, I don't want to go to the dark side of this story. The truth is the truth. We all are seeking connection. And so you've got to learn how to protect your peace and your path. The lesson here really boils down to this. Audit your circle of friends and your circle of influence frequently, intentionally, and without guilt. Because sometimes, I don't know about you, as I analyze the people who are around me, I sometimes feel guilty about that, because it does sometimes feel like you are putting yourself on a pedestal and you start thinking, it's not that I'm better than you. It's just that we're growing in different directions. And I'm not here to, again, make a hierarchy of people or the relationships that I'm in. But there is absolutely a truth that I'm sitting with, is that we outgrow people, places, and things. And that is okay. If you were not intentional about thinking about how and why you are surrounded with the people that you're surrounded with and what you're doing for them and what they're doing for you, then baby, that's just having fun. Life is about having fun, but it's also about growth. And to grow, you have to be planted in spaces with people who can water you, who can help you, who can give you vision and help you clarify and work with clarity and help push you beyond what you know. If you're not growing, then you're dying, right? It's a simple truth. If you're not growing, you're not dying, then you're dying. So we've got to be really intentional about thinking about who's in our circle and how are we using them, how are they using us, so that we can grow and walk in our purpose continuously. So audit your circle frequently, intentionally, and without guilt. The second lesson that I took away from this young man's story is that we all need second chances, them and you. Here's what broke me wide open. After 18 years, that young man got a second chance. Somebody saw something in him. They fought for him. They helped him start again. And it made me wonder, how many of us are denying others second chances? And how often are we denying ourselves a second chance? Let's be honest. We've ghosted friends over misunderstandings. I'm guilty of it, right? We've cut off family who took a misstep or tarnished our name or made us upset about something that maybe was big and maybe it wasn't. We've all been our own worst critics, not letting ourselves grow out of who we used to be. But healing, growth, grace, that's the true mark of emotional maturity. That is truly the mark of emotional maturity and evolution and growth. You don't have to forget, but you can choose freedom over friction. Let me tell you that again. You don't have to forget what you've walked through. You don't have to forget how people made you feel. You don't have to forget where and how people maybe tarnished your image or your name or whatever the case may be. You don't have to forget those things. In fact, honor those things. But you can choose freedom over friction. In other words, you don't have to hang on to that. It doesn't have to continue to keep building up and grinding on itself and becoming overheated and broke down. You know what I'm saying? Like ease into you, right? Make sure you got some oil for that engine, because that friction and all that heat is just, it's combustible and it doesn't do anything but break down, right? So I need you to think about that. Freedom over friction, not for them, but for you. You have permission to breathe. You have permission to evolve, and you have permission to give yourself a second chance, right? Just like we have to show forgiveness towards others, we have to use that same standard to forgive ourselves. And often we forget that we deserve second chances. We make mistakes. We do things out of alignment or in a moment of crisis that have long longitudinal impact. But that doesn't mean there can't be a hard reset and a second chance given that we give to ourselves. I want you right now to check your heart. Here's a couple things to think about. Is there someone you've refused to forgive, but deep down, it's eating you up? Think about that. Is there somebody that you have refused to forgive for whatever reason, big or small, but you know that deep down it's eating you up? And then the second thing I want you to think about right here is, are you stuck in guilt over something old, something you've already outgrown? Are you stuck in guilt over something that is old and something that you've already outgrown? See, I want to say a little bit about this real quick. We often hang on to things that are far beyond the expiration date. Why? A simple word, and you'll know it: pride. Pride makes us do things and say things, or not do things and not say things that we know are good for us. And pride will keep you stuck and stagnant and feeling like you can't move until you find resolve with the reasons or the way that it needs to look beyond where you are now. Let me say that again. Pride keeps us stuck, right? And it's our pride and our lack of humility that keeps us in a space that's not full of grace, right? You want to hold on to that story that you knew to be true and those feelings that you had, but have you already outgrown that? Have you already outgrown that, but you're choosing to hang on to it? I don't know what situation you may be associating our conversations with today to, but I want to remind you, things that happened in the past are over. They're over. It is your responsibility and it's your right to find resolve and peace with that, or to hang on to that and harbor that and let that fuel and fester inside of your mind and in your heart for years and years and years. The decision is up to you today. The decision is absolutely up to you. But I do want you to know there's benefit, there's pros and cons to holding on to things and to letting things go. I choose to believe that we we squash our growth if we choose to be bogged down with the who, the what, the when, the where, the why of our past life, of our past chapters. Let things go. Know when they serve a purpose and when they are simply squashing your ability to grow. The same grace that you crave, you have to offer it. You have to offer it to people. You have to offer it to yourself. That is where real power begins. We know what it means to feel good and whole and to resolve trauma. Hopefully you've had an experience where you've been able to experience that resolve, or frustration found a way to be minimized so that you can walk in your freedom again. If you're holding on to things that were meant for you to throw away 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 2 years ago, 2 decades ago, come on. Some of y'all are holding on to things that literally do not matter anymore. Remember, the past is the past. You may have already outgrown the thing that is absolutely holding you back in this moment still. So if that's the case, you've got to start thinking about how you're going to get yourself out of that. Are you stuck in guilt over something old? And the third lesson that really kind of jumped out to me was you have to have a path. This young man, his story really reinforced you have to have a path and you have to have a plan, right? 18 years gone. That hit me like a tidal wave. And it reminded me that life is just way too precious to be drifting and to be floating. Let me say that again. Life is way too precious to just be drifting and floating in the waves of life. You don't have to have it all figured out, but you do need direction. Did you hear me? You don't have to have everything about your life figured out. In fact, don't even put that kind of pressure on yourself. You don't have to have it figured out, but you do need direction. You need a reason to get up. You need a reason to stay grounded, because without intention, the world will absolutely hand you distractions. They will. Some people, but the world, whether it's the world of your work, the world of even your family, the world of your mind, the world will hand you distractions. It'll hand you fake purpose. It'll hand you fake connections. It'll give you addiction and give you all of these things that you think will help numb out the fact that you need healing. So what is your anchor? What is your why? Let's get grounded in this for a moment. What's one small goal you've committed to this week? What is one goal that you've committed to this week? And how are you doing with that goal? Okay. And then think about this. What's a value you want to live by, even if no one else sees it in you but you? Have a path. Have a plan. Do not be distracted by the ensemble of noise and messiness that you are surrounded with. You've got to start there. You've got to start with your heart. Come back to the heart of the matter, the center of you. And the center of you is always you. Because when you live with intention, you absolutely reclaim your power. Have a path, have a plan, even if it's small. Start there. Well, let's dive into this segment of the podcast that I like to call The Wise Counselor Unfiltered. It's real, it's raw, it's honest, and it's my bigger level takeaways. 2 or 3 things that I really want you to hear from this podcast. Number 1, proximity is not neutral. Who you're with will absolutely shape your outcome, emotionally, spiritually, and legally. You better choose your circle like your future depends on it, because when you think about it, it absolutely does. Number 2, don't let pride block your healing. Do not let your pride block your healing. Pride will keep you stuck in unforgiveness. It'll keep you stuck in guilt. It'll keep you stuck in regret. But humility, that's where freedom is found. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook. It's about getting yourself free. Forgiveness is not about that person, that place, that thing outside of you that made you frustrated. It's about getting yourself free. My third point here is that purpose doesn't have to be loud. You may be saying, well, tell me more. Absolutely. You don't need a big plan to walk in your purpose, but you do need a compass. Something, anything that points you back to who you really are every day. And that's where we have to have those conversations with ourselves, be open and honest with ourselves about who we are, what we expect, what we want to do, why it matters, and then how we're going to do it. So here's some post-podcast homework that I want you to think about after the podcast. And they're just some questions. And so think about this. Who in your circle needs a boundary and who deserves more access? Number 2, what's one thing from your past you still haven't forgiven yourself for? And how can you start? And number 3, what's one intention you can commit to this week that brings you closer to your purpose? Write it down, speak it aloud, text yourself, I don't know. Figure out how you're going to do this homework and make it meaningful. Don't just ignore it. Make it meaningful. So family, that's what I have for today. I hope our conversation does not go in one ear and out the other. I really want you to take a moment and reflect and do the homework. Listen to this podcast again, replay it, let it sit with your soul today. Decide what you're going to carry from this space that we've had and this conversation that we've had today and how you're going to apply this to your real life. And then I want you to really do something with it. Did you hear me? Do something with it. Because there's no time like the present moment to reclaim yourself, to take care of yourself, and to dive deeper into how you're going to walk in your purpose. Let me remind you that great things absolutely do not happen overnight. It takes time. Growth takes time. Healing takes time. But let me tell you this, ease into you. Make time to pause and make time to truly reflect. Then press forward with intention. And remember, when it is all said and done, you've heard it from me time and time again, you are absolutely the only one that is in control of your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions to what life throws your way. As always, I want to thank you for joining me on this podcast, Wisdom with the Wise Counselor. Know that I love you. I absolutely do. I believe in you, and I have absolutely no doubt that whatever you are walking through today or this week or moving forward, that you absolutely got this. Be well.